The president of Syriza, Mr. Tsipras, stated in his speech that Slovenia is on the slippery road of Greece. However, just yesterday, the formal official statistics showed first signs of Slovenian economic recovery. Now, obviously, the situation isn't that bad as it is or was in Greece at the time. Would you say that this can affect the results of the polls for Združena Levica in Slovenia, for people not being so angry, not being so desperate, if I may say so, to vote for the radical left?
Okay, so my first comment is that the Greek people have a very bitter experience having to do with the official numbers every year.
Yeah, of course.
For example, at the moment the Greek government is boasting that the country has a primary surplus of maybe exceeding 1 billion euro. On the other hand, even the IMF admits that this might not be true. And the Greek government is hiding that this surplus of 1.5 billion euro is counted without the immediate obligations of payments that the Greek state has towards the internal market, private players in Greece, and of course workers and socially insured people, which is more than 1.5 billion euro, the immediate obligations of the Greek state. So as you can understand, we have a very bad experience of false numbers. Even the committee of the European Parliament that examined the work of the Troika, not only in Greece but also in the other memorandum countries, officially admitted that the numbers have been fake for Greece. And I don't mean only the devaluation, the initial devaluation of the bad numbers, I also mean the estimations and the official declarations for the positive numbers after the memorandum. I should also tell you that according to the last report of the Levy Institute, which is one of the most important economic institutes, even in a global scale, the Greek public debt in 2 years will approach 200% of the GDP. After 3 consecutive bailout packages and after numerous privatizations and bailout reforms. This bitter experience proves that no matter what the official declarations of the neoliberal governments and the neoliberal leadership of the European Union and the Troika might be, ordinary people have felt what it means to be under an extreme austerity strategy. Ordinary Greek people have lost 30% of their annual income in 3 years. We have 60% unemployment among youth. We have over 30% of general unemployment rate. We have 3 million Greeks who don't have social insurance. This means that they don't have access to free and public health care. And I believe that even if the numbers might be a little different concerning the Slovenian society, Slovenian people have already felt what it means to be under the downward spiral of the austerity strategy. I was reading yesterday that only in 2009, Slovenia presented a recession of 8%. And this recession continued in the following years, I think with the exception of 2010. They feel what this recession means in their daily life. They are telling them, they are using the same rhetoric against the Slovenian people. You have been living above expectations, your salaries are too high, your pensions are too high, we have a lot of pensioners, so what should we do? Should we exterminate some of them? Because in Greece this is what actually happening. We have had in the last 4 years more than 6,000 suicides. We have people who don't have access to free basic vaccination. We have people who suffer from cancer and other chronic diseases and disabilities who don't have access to free treatments. These people will physically die. This is the destruction of the austerity strategy. And I believe that the Slovenian people, judging from their daily experience, will be very wise when they go to vote in May. You might call me very optimistic, but I believe that through this experiment of hope, the political experiment of hope of Združena Levica in Slovenia, And through the collective consciousness that a part of the Slovenian society built last year with the uprising against corruption, against austerity measures, against misery, there is a viable hope for the Slovenian people. And I think that this will be positively expressed in the next period.
So in short, if I understand you right, you would suggest Slovenian voters not to believe the official numbers?
What I believe that they already understand, as I told you, is that no matter what the official numbers are, even if they are trying to build a new narration of another success story, as they're doing now in Greece, this success story is built on glass feet. This success story is built on the social sacrifices that the Troika, the European Union neoliberal leadership, and of course the neoliberal governments of Slovenia have been imposing against the Slovenian people. And people should express their frustration and their decisive rejection of these policies in the next ballot boxes.
Bom najprej v slovenščini, kako v angliščini. I will translate it. Zanima me, če se vsi strinjate s tem, recimo, ker je kolega že izpostavil, da je Slovenija naproti Grčije. Če se strinjate. I'm asking, on what basis do you claim that Slovenia, on what basis concrete do you claim that Slovenia is going in the same direction that Greece went 4 years ago or 5 years ago? So, first my strinjate.
Tako kar res, v bistvu statistike, številke kažejo podobno zgodbo. Če je IMF izračunal, da za vsak evro, ki je bil privarčevan, torej izvzet iz javne porabe, se je BDP v evropskih državah v povprečju zmanjšal za količnik 1,6. V Grčiji je bila taka zgodba, pri nas smo imeli leta 2012 zgodbo z Janševo vlado, ki je privarčevala 460 milijonov evrov, BDP se je v istem letu zmanjšal za 700 milijonov evrov. Torej, iste politike kot v Grčiji imajo v Sloveniji podobne učinke. Druga stvar je, da v Grčiji ne uvajajo samo varčevanje, ampak podobno. Skušajo se rešiti javnega dolga s privatizacijami, najemajo nova in nova posojila za reševanje bank in hkrati pač varčujejo, kar ubija gospodarsko rast, kar je državo potegnilo vrtinec krize in čisto isto lahko pričakujemo danes.
Lahko še jaz tukaj dodam. Morda kažejo cifre, da se je ostala recesija, pa po drugi strani mene bolj zanimajo ljudje. Nezaposlenost se ni ostala, se še povečala in če bomo imeli vedno večjo nezaposlenost, nas tudi za trenutek konec recesije ne more povedati. Še bolj kot tega mi pa potrjuje, da smo na poti besede, ki jih politiki uporabljajo. Še bolj varčevanje, kar ni varčevanje, pomeni stradanje v resnici. Naslednjo je vse prodati. Ko bomo vse prodali, od česa bomo sploh še kaj počeli. Že ta dva podatka sta, da iz tega ne bo, predvsem pa se nakazuje, kako bo kmalu že s tem uničevanjem in varčevanjem pri javnem sektorju, rečemo javnem sektorju, zdravstvo, socialno in tako naprej, bojo kmalu pripeljali do tega, da se bojo začeli domovi za stare se začnejo že prazniti, kmalu jih bojo potem seveda prodali, ko jih bojo prodali, jih bo dali v najem ali nemškim in avstrijskim upokojenci, ker bojo prišla kot cena, ker bojo zasebne cene dvignili, naši upokojenci bojo še domov in tako. To je cela zgodba, ki je povezana ne samo z ekonomijo, pa z enim podatkom, finančna recesija gora, ampak se veže komplet z to zgodbo, ki je treba razmišljati, kaj se odzad dogaja. Ko bomo ostali brez vsega, potem nam čist nič ne pomaga, če bo še gospodarska rast 10%, če so rezultati gospodarske rasti polnjene žepov 1% prebivalstva.
Lahko še dva stavka. Včeraj je pisalo v Financah, da je naša bančna luknja še za 6 milijard večja od tiste, o kateri smo govorili. Včeraj v Financah. To pomeni, da država pravzaprav ni povedala resnice o stvareh, ki nas čakajo. Vidi se na področju zdravstva in pripravljanja zdravstvene reforme, po kateri naj bi se bistveno zaostrili pogoji za uresničevanje zdravstvenih pravic. Se pravi, socialna država propada. Napovedano je približno 15.000 novih več brezposelnih, to je tudi časopisni podatek. In to nas ne more potolažiti in zelo govori v prid kolegu iz Grčije, ki pravi, da smo na podobni poti. Kljub temu, da je Evropska komisija priporočala varčevanje kot zdravilo za krizo, pa se je izkazalo, da to ni in da je škodljivo, se to zdravilo uporablja naprej, tako kot je rekel na televiziji torej tovariš Cipras v svojem intervjuju. Naprej zahtevajo ukrepe, ki so nas še globlje pripeljali v revščino, in na ta način seveda ni mogoče dalje. Se pravi, treba je takoj zaustaviti postopke prehudega varčevanja, najete kredite usmeriti v reševanje gospodarstva, zlasti v tistem delu, kjer ima pogoje za razvoj. Že prej sem povedal, da je to lesna industrija, da je to energetska prenova stavb v državi in podobno, kjer je vsaj 15.000 delovnih mest za področje gradbeništva in seveda vsaj 15.000 delovnih mest za področje lesne industrije, ki smo jo popolnoma zanemarili. Nemčija je v času krize reševala svoje podjetja. Mi pa smo jih tako rekoč dokrajčili in prepustili tajkunskemu dokončnemu uničenju. In tukaj je še ta nesreča, da želi država razprodati preostanek državnega premoženja za podjetji, ki so v državni lasti. Kajti država ni nujno slab gospodar, če postavi prave upravljavce. Naši upravljavci so bili strankarski predstavniki, ki niso imeli pojma o gospodarjenju, pač pa so srbeli za korist svoje stranke ali svoje lastne koristi in šla stvarno vzdolj. Res pa je prednost državne firme v tem, da ne terja dobička, pač pa zaposlenost in solidno preživetje delavcev. Zato, da jih ni treba socialno podpirati in plačevati kot brezposelne. Medtem ko kapitalisti, zasebniki želijo dobiček in če dobička ni, potem firma več za njih ni zanimiva. In se ustavi, propade, jo prodajo, zaprejo in krog je zaprt, nova brezposelna srenja in začaran krog teče dalje v smeri. Tu je treba narediti reze in mi mislimo, da je naša zaveza in naša Združena levica tista, ki lahko pomaga s tem seveda, da bi se morala tudi naša država naglo opreti diktatu Evropske unije, ki jo volijo finančni lobiji, banke in mednarodni finančni sklad. Odločajo tisti, ki niso bili izvoljeni, parlament ne odloča. Parlament Evropski je posvetoval tega in treba je tukaj za napraviti, prej ne bo mogoče drugače.
Sem še nekaj čisto kratko, mogoče za gospoda Hanška, kot predstavnika največje stranke od Vestrega. Kakšen rezultat na volitvah vi pričakujete evropske?
Zanesljivo je en poslanec, če bomo zelo dobro delali, lahko rečemo tudi na 2.
Kakšno vprašanje?
Can I contribute to that question?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay, the basis for predicting that something similar is going to hit Slovenia lies on the fact that the three political families that are ruling the national government and hold the political majority at the level of the European Union, and I mean the forces of the European Popular Party, the forces of the European Socialist Party and the forces of the European Liberals, have been imposing exactly the same agenda with the full cooperation of the IMF. They were the ones to create the Troika, which is a fully uncontrollable, let's say under bracket institution. It's not an institution, it's an illegal, in its core, it's an illegal body that is not controlled by anybody. And they applied exactly the same programs. In Greece, in Ireland, in Portugal, they named them memorandums. In Spain and Italy, they didn't name them memoranda because, for example, Italy has a public debt of 2 trillion euro, or in Spain, similar numbers because it's a big economy, but they named them structural reform programs, or as we say, super austerity programs. So it's a common neoliberal strategy that is applied upon all the peoples of Europe that must be punished for what? For gaining basic social and workers' rights after the end of the Second World War. The consequences are similar, even if we have historical differences, economic, geopolitical differences from country to country. But the trend of the outcome of this destructive strategy is the same for every country. Let me give you an example. Since 2008, the Greek private banking system has received more than 250 billion euro in cash and guarantees. And this is public money. Greek public money and European public money. In the case of Slovenia with the severe banking crisis, I was reading both the reports of the OECD a few months ago and the last report of the meeting of the IMF with the Slovenian government. What they both proposed for the case of Slovenia is a recapitalization of the private banks of Slovenia, of the banks of Slovenia, under the precondition that they will be privatized. This is exactly the same recipe. Socialize the private debt and privatize the profits. This strategy will mathematically kill the Slovenian economy, at least the part that it's not killed already. This is the recipe that has led the Eurozone into a destruction, this downward spiral. So the dilemma is very clear. We either choose the family of the European Popular Party, the European Socialists and the European Liberals, who say exactly the same thing. Let's follow the same recipe, as if nothing has happened until today. Or we follow the alternative project of the European left. And that is why we believe that it is very positive that at this very day, the 1st of March 2014, here in Ljubljana, we have the official constitution with the signatures and this fabulous event organized by our comrades and friends, the realization of the united left in Slovenia. At the same time today, in Austria, we have a very similar event. Different forces of the left are presenting a common list today for the European elections. In Greece, we already have the example of Syriza and the magnificent performance in the elections of 2012 and the fact that Syriza is a government in waiting in Greece. In Spain, which is another super austerity country, the united left scores more than 15% in the opinion polls. In Ireland, another former success story and then failure story of European liberalism, the Sinn Féin, which is a progressive Republican party, scores more than 18% in the opinion polls. In Portugal, step by step, the two left parties that exist are increasing forces. So we have a trend. And we hope that the people, the workers of Europe, we know that they have the ability, they have the force in their hands. As Lucas said in his speech, we are not expecting any god, any master, any king to rescue the peoples of Europe. The peoples of Europe have the force in their own hands to change their destiny, because the intervention of the popular actor is the decisive force throughout human history. And we believe that this can be a positive intervention.
One more short question. Can you answer me very short in one or few words?
Thank you.
You're saying all the time, say no to austerity measures. The alternative is what?
The alternative is a completely different path.
Which?
First of all, you cannot regulate the economy and stimulate the real economy if you don't have a social credit policy. This means that banks should remain under democratic control of the society through the public control. Secondly, for the question of the public debt, which is not a huge problem for Slovenia, it is for Greece. What we have, Portugal and other countries, what we officially propose as the European left is the realization of a European conference on the public debt crisis according to the London Conference of 1953 for the debt of post-war Germany. And this model will include the abolition of a big part of the unsustainable public debts of Greece, Portugal and the other countries, and an optimization of the repayment conditions for the remaining small part under a precondition of growth. A country that is in a recession cannot continue to repay its credit, and it should not pay off in a year of recession. In a year of growth, it can continue to repay under optimized conditions, no interest rates, for example, which is a weapon that the European Central Bank can use if it wants politically, under these optimized conditions in order to make this story sustainable, because this whole project is not sustainable.
Lahko jaz samo en lapsus popravim. Jaz sem prej rekel, da je 6 milijard bančna luknja večja. Ni. 6 milijard je slabih kreditov, je pisalo v financah včeraj.
No, če smem še jaz, to, kar je Janis zdaj povedal, pravzaprav se moramo zavedati, da cel svet vre, da je socialna bomba tempirana zato, ker nas je neoliberalna politika svetovna pripeljala v stanje, kjer človek ni sploh pomemben. Popolnoma odvečen strošek, kot kar ni potrebna delovna sila, ker dela nam ne zagotavljajo, smo popolnoma nepotreben strošek. Nobenega ne motijo bolani starci, ki si ne morejo kupiti zdravil in mu kako umirajo, in nobenega ne motijo lačni otroci. In zbiramo petko za nasmeh, SMS-e, z dobrodelnostjo pa samo podaljšujemo, da se razumemo, tudi jaz sem dobrodelna, kjer moram, ob tem, da se zavedam krivde, ker s tem podpiram sistem, ker sociale ni. In potem mi, reveži, pravzaprav podpiramo še večje reveže. Cel svet se mora spremeniti, ker je popolnoma srednji razred izginil in ljudje nismo pomembni. In na drugi strani pa je toliko denarja, da je jasno, da so ljudje, menedžeri, slabih, bank ali pa kogarkoli, ki trenutno v državi vodijo to politiko, tako dobro plačani, da njih prav malo briga za javno šolstvo, javno zdravstvo in kulturo. Tak človek, ki imamo podatke po več 10.000 evrov na mesec, on gre lahko svoje otroke šolati kjerkoli na svetu, lahko se zdravi, kjer želi, in danes se lahko sede na avion in gre v New York direkt na predstavo. Naše preživetje tukaj, naše preživetje tukaj ne zanima. In ko se bomo tega zavedali, bomo nehali nasedati njihovim številkam in njihovim kakršnikoli manipulacijam. To je za mene in za nas tukaj končana zgodba.
Danes smo veliko slišali o tem, ne temu. Kaj pa konkretno? 3 konkretne ukrepe, recimo zdaj pravite nevarčevanje, ne rešujemo privatnih bank in tako naprej. Kaj pa naredimo?
Luka.
Ampak on je na Grčijo apliciral, za Slovenijo mi povede.
Ja, mislim, na Evropo je apliciral. Mislim, mi skupaj s stranko Evropske levice kot prvo podpiramo pobudo za to, da se odprejo pogajanja o pogojih odplačevanja dolgov. Kot drugo je treba opozoriti na dejstvo, da je Evropska centralna banka praktično edina centralna banka na svetu, ki ne financira dolgov držav članic, torej ki ne prodaja obveznic državam članicam. To je recimo druga stvar, ki jo je treba spremeniti, in ko bo začela, tako kot recimo ameriški Fed, ki vsak mesec v gospodarstvo načrpa $40 milijard brezobrestnih kreditov, to počela tudi Evropska centralna banka, ne bo nobeno varčevanje tukaj več potrebno. Kar se tiče zagona gospodarstva, tako kot je rekel Franc, Slovenija ima ogromen potencial v lesu. Slovenija je nekoč imela industrijo, imela je firme, kot je bila Iskra, ki je bila v 70-ih letih tako močna, da je konkurirala firmam kot so nemški Philips ali pa korejski Samsung. Danes so od nje ostali samo še deli, ampak v teh delih je potencial, da se te firme ponovno integrira in da spet postavimo na noge proizvodno, ki ne bo proizvajala samo pol izdelkov za Nemčijo in za državo Evropskega centra, ampak ki bo dejansko sposobna proizvesti končne izdelke za konkuriranje na najvišjem nivoju. Poleg tega je pa potrebno opozoriti na to, da so tako politika, ki je upravljala z državnimi podjetji, kot kapital, ki je upravljal z zasebnimi podjetji, so oboje padli na izpitu zgodovine v zadnjih 20 letih. Ne samo pri nas, tudi v Grčiji, povsod v Evropi In zato je potrebno obrniti razmerje moči pri delu, torej da v podjetjih postanejo delovni kolektivi, tisti, ki imajo glavno besedo pri upravljanju podjetij, v politiki postanejo vsi državljani, vsi prebivalci, tisti, ki imajo prek mehanizmov neposredne demokracije vpliv na skupne odločitve. V gospodarstvu kot celoti je pa potrebno pač izgraditi mehanizme, prek katerih bomo imeli državljani neposreden nadzor nad upravljanjem skupno lastnino, in tak mehanizem v Sloveniji trenutno obstaja, to je državni holding, samo demokratizirati kaj treba.
Kakšno vprašanje? Iskaj še Dušan Šešo postavljal. Janis, one more. What's the goal of European left on the May elections? I'm talking about how many percentage do you altogether in all the different countries?
Okay, at the moment, the parliamentary group of the left in the European Parliament, which is GUE-NGL, that's the initial letters, is in 6th position, and we have 35 seats in the European Parliament. Our goal is to be the winner of the elections. I mean, the most important of the winners of the elections, to present the biggest increase of forces relatively to our current force. If you want a more concrete prediction from me, I am a firm believer that we will fight to approach 60 seats in the next European Parliament. And this means at least 4th position, overpass the Greens, and fight with ALDE, with the Liberals, in order to break this triple axis of neoliberalism. You know, European Popular Party, Socialists and Liberals. This is the only way. If you want to push the new European Parliament to make the dominant forces feel the real demands of society, the forces of the European left should be decisively increased in the next European elections. And I repeat, I will not get bored to repeat it, that this also passes through the reinforcement of the united left here in Slovenia. And something that I forgot previously, it's not only the banks, it's not only what we should do with the public debt. These are immediate measures that you can take in order to stop the disaster. If you want to talk about a real exit strategy of Europe from the destruction it has been witnessing, we need to touch even deeper questions. We must speak about a radical transformation of the way we produce and consume. We must speak about finding new ways of democratic participation of citizens in the way that politics are done and decisions are taken. European citizens have been used to a clientelist model of neoliberal democracy. They are dependent voters according to the political planning of the forces that destroy them. What we are talking about, and we will try to enforce, we will try to experiment in Greece, is new ways of letting the people express their popular verdict. Because the biggest failure of the political system in Greece, the political establishment of the last 40 years, and this caused the popular mobilizations in the last 4 years, it is this failure, the collapse of the clientelist political system. And it's not only a phenomenon of Greece. It's all over Europe where neoliberal forces prevail.